Hi, I'm Stephen Jarvi. I'm the Associate Conductor of the Kansas City Symphony, and I'm here with our music director, Michael Stern, after we finished 3 days of rehearsals for this weekend's concerts, November 19th, 20th, and 21st. We're joined this week by a lot of guest artists, both our pianist, James Tocco, and our principal violist, Christine Grossman, playing Harold in Italy. Tell us a little bit about Christine's feature first, Harold in Italy by Berlioz.
Well, actually, Christine has a lot of work to do on this program because with the conceit of the Italian influence on Berlioz, we're actually opening the program with the Wolf Italian Serenade, which I suppose with the same kind of Italianate feeling, though neither of them was particularly Italian. But both pieces feature this major viola solo, obviously Harold in Italy more extended. But I just thought it was a cute bridge from the beginning of the concert to the end. And also, it was a significant way to present Christine for the first time. Marvelous musician, a great section leader, and for the first time appearing as a soloist with the orchestra. So it's really a happy week for us in that respect.
And the concerto this week is Barber's Piano Concerto, a piece you don't often hear. And we start the program with a piece you don't often hear also, this Wolf Italian Serenade. How does the Barber fit into this program?
It has nothing to do with Italy whatsoever,
okay.
Except that 2010 is the centenary of Barber's birth, so it was appropriate that we mark it. We played some Barber in the past in this calendar year, and so as we come to a close to 2010, I thought it was interesting to bring back this piece, which, as you say, is not heard all that often, although one of its distinctive features is that when it was first premiered in 1962 by John Browning, it was very popular, and largely because of him, but also because there was a great deal of interest and will to program it. It received a lot of performances in those early years after its creation, I think more than 50, which for a very new piece is significant, especially in those days. So it's got a structure or a feeling to it which has become somewhat identified with Barber style. It is romantic, despite its modern sensibility. This piece, much more so than the Violin Concerto, which was written 20-something years earlier. But the same concept of a rather dramatic first movement, lots of interplay with the orchestra, contrasting sections which really exploit the singingness of the instrument, in the case of the Violin Concerto more so, but certainly in the Piano Concerto, with a lot of help from the woodwinds of the orchestra, there's this beautiful slower section, and then an absolutely divine second movement, which also shares the same trait as the Violin Concerto. And a very rhythmic, very propulsive, and in this case, lopsided meter third movement, which is very driven and very exciting. So it's a pleasure to play the piece. I've done it before, but not all that often, because, as you say, it's not that often played. And we found a wonderful advocate for the piece in James Tocco, who's been playing it for a long time. You know, a wonderful American pianist who knew Barber and worked with Barber. And so it's a really satisfying thing to be able to program this on the concert.
And Harold in Italy is kind of our grand finale piece, as you mentioned, featuring Christine Grossman. What do we have to to look forward to in that piece?
I have to say, sometimes Berlioz in general, and certainly a piece like this, is a little bit of a guilty pleasure, because you feel that you need a little bit of permission sometimes to enjoy music this much, which is not necessarily, you know, Mahler's Fifth Symphony or Beethoven's Ninth, you know, one of the great celebrated works of the canon. This is absolutely marvelous music. I mean, it's over the top in some ways, but when you think about Berlioz writing this music, not that long after Beethoven's death, and inventing this whole new way of writing and imagining music and the possibilities for the orchestra. I mean, we know that he was a masterful orchestrator, but it was just the scale of the piece and the concept of the piece, bringing back, like he did in the Symphonie Fantastique, the idée fixe from one movement to another and having that as some kind of organizing principle. And then, of course, writing what is a de facto viola concerto, although he pulled back from that a little bit after the commission from Paganini sort of went
Dwindled,
south,
yeah.
dwindled in interest. And then he put less stock or less effort into writing a virtuoso viola piece for the instrument and rather just a pure piece of music. But like a lot of his music, there's a certain program to it, and there's a kind of cyclical order to the architecture of the piece. But it packs a tremendous punch. both the first and the last movements. The movement of the pilgrims is wonderful, and you've got this sort of religious feeling. The chorale that comes in the middle of the second movement is beautiful. And again, it's just wonderful it's not a piece, honestly, that I would do every year. But it is so interesting and so invigorating, not only to have a chance to play it, but I think also for the audience to hear it live.
A beautiful program of inventive and colorful music featuring James Tocco and our very own principal violist, Christine Grossman. We hope you join us there.